Record. And good afternoon, producer Susan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jersey Joe. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Hey, you know what yesterday was? By the way,
June 1st.
well, and today's
Start of
June
summer.
2nd,
Start of the
but what,
calendar summer.
but it was the start of meteorological summer,
Yep. Not to
which
be confused with the summer solstice, which is what,
June
June
21st, right.
21st?
And apparently there's a solar summer which starts on June 21st, but it's the meteor. They say it's basically summer. Meteor is June, July, and August, the three hottest months of the year. So it was start of summer. Hey, we got a
Well,
bunch of stuff.
today is the last nice day before the heat and the humidity hits us later this week.
Okay. All right. Hey, got some late breaking news that just popped over an hour ago. You know what Samsung is, right? Telephones,
Yeah,
refrigerators, washer, dryers, right?
yeah.
Um, a year ago, less than a year ago, 10 months ago, they opened a brand new North American headquarters for Samsung USA in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. You know what they announced today?
They're leaving Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey.
They're shutting it down and moving to Texas.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah,
So what is
wow.
the benefit of Texas over New Jersey?
Um, better work, less crime, lower taxes. There's no corporate income taxes. There's no personal income taxes. Um, the property taxes are lower. So yeah, it must have been pretty onerous in terms of regulations and taxes. You imagine the costs involved in shutting down, and of course they probably have a lease. I don't know if they bought the building or they're leasing the building. Can you imagine the costs involved in abandoning a facility you've been in for less than a year? And it's a
Yeah,
thousand people
yeah.
moving to Texas. Wow.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
that's a huge hit to Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey.
And the state in terms of
And Bergen, that's Bergen County, I believe,
Bergen
right?
County, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over by the George Washington Bridge. So, yep. All right, well, let me get to the rest of the stuff that we were going to talk about, aside from that late breaking news. Again, today is June the 2nd, second day of meteorological summer. Our quote of this week is from the late Margaret Thatcher, who was Prime Minister of Great Britain, on the origins of socialism. I think it's a great quote. She's also the one who said socialism works great until you run out of other people's money, but that's not the quote we're going to talk about today. And the stupidest thing I've heard all week. Will tell you what a guy left in his camper van along with his dog when he went into a convenience store. And if you're gonna, this is something you should never leave in your car with your dog. And you've
Mhm.
got a dog, right?
Yep.
Well, trust me. After I assume you would never do this, but we'll tell you what he left in his car and what happened. Um, we'll tell you about a pilot program aimed at making going through TSA screening for your flight faster, and that can also reduce your cost of your trip by more than $20 a day if you typically park your car at the airport while you're gone. In the continuing saga of Medicaid fraud in Minnesota, we'll tell you about a new scam based on providing autism treatment for the children of people, right? We've done hospice, we've done daycare, we've done all these other scams. This is a new one based on providing autism. And we'll tell you how they pulled that one off and how much they stole. We'll play a clip. We won't play the whole clip, but we've got a clip of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who, by the way, is from New York, taking on New York State Governor Kathy Hochul at a federal congressional hearing over her executive orders banning New York State law enforcement officials from cooperating with ICE, and she just tears her apart. You probably want to listen to the whole thing. We don't have time to play the whole thing, but I'll just play the first 2 or 3 minutes. We'll tell you about a death spiral that the city of Denver is experiencing and who's responsible for creating that death spiral. We'll give you some, by the way, question. Do you get any news video on what's happening at the ICE detention facility, Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey?
No.
Okay. Well, it's on the news 24/7 here. We'll tell you about that and what's been happening and why they never include some very relevant facts. We'll tell you not why new AI data centers could drive up the cost of your electric bill in many states that don't have enough generating capacity to satisfy their own current electrical demand. And our taxpayer relief shot this week comes from Antioch, California, where three thugs try to rob a jewelry store, but only two survive the attempt.
Mm.
All right, so here's a quote from the late Margaret Thatcher on the origins of socialism. She said, "Socialism does not come from the people. It is a doctrine of intellectuals who had the arrogance to believe that they could plan everybody's life. And
Hmm.
that's the whole thing about socialism
Yeah.
is central planning.
Hmm.
And it's arrogant to believe that, a few people, in government could decide what's best. By the way, do you think we would have 65-inch flat screen TVs for $450
No,
if
not at
if
all.
gov
Not, not, no.
if government, well, you still be watching 17-inch cathode ray tubes. It was only
Yeah.
because if government is the only producer of TVs in your country, what motivation do they have to
Hmm.
innovate and improve and go, it's competition is what drives. I mean, by the way, if you want to measure things, 20 years ago, a 17-inch cathode ray tube would cost you almost a week's salary. Today, a 65-inch flat screen costs you a day's salary,
Hmm.
if you want to look at
Yep.
it that way. And look
Yep.
at the features and capability. I mean, those TVs still had the old. Did you ever have an old twist knob TV where you had 13 channels? You
Yep.
had to get up
Yep.
and twist the knob.
Yep.
And that TV cost you a week's salary. Today, you get a 65-inch flat screen with 800 channels for a
Yeah,
day.
I recently bought well, not a 60, a 40, 48 inch, I believe, for
For
$300.
$300. It's just incredible. That would never happen in a socialist or communist economy
Mhm.
because the government has no motivation to make any improvements. All right.
Mhm.
So here's the stupidest thing I've heard all week. So in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, a guy with a camper van and a dog parked his camper van outside of a convenience store and went into the convenience store, but he left on the seat of his camper van a loaded shotgun with a round in the chamber and the safety off. Now, does your
Uh,
dog ever jump around from seat to seat?
Absolutely.
Well, guess what the dog did?
Jumped on the gun.
Jumped on the gun, jumped on the trigger. The gun fired. Fortunately, it was only birdshot or buckshot, birdshot, and the birdshot went through the door of the camper. And there was a woman sitting in the car, parked in the car next to the camper van, and she had her arm, and the window was open. She had her arm. I guess she was smoking. She had her arm, and some of the birdshot hit her in the arm. But so she got hit. She got hit with some birdshot pellets. But how stupid do you have to? First of all, dog or no dog, you don't have a loaded. It's illegal in every state in the union to have a loaded rifle or shotgun in your car. You
Yeah.
cannot have a loaded rifle or shotgun in your car. Even if you have a concealed carry permit, you cannot
Mhm.
have a loaded rifle or shotgun in your car.
Yeah.
So, and then to do it with a dog in your car.
Yeah.
So, so you think that's the winner of our stupidest thing I've heard all week?
Yeah, that was definitely not brilliant for sure.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to Delaney Hall. I'm surprised because I know I've seen it on some of the ABC
I think I
evening.
may, now that you've mentioned it, I think I may. They were talking about the conditions.
Yeah, well, the
Yeah.
protests, and by the way, there's no evidence that these people are saying, "Oh, it's this, it's that, it's there, it's the food is terrible, it's unsanitary, they don't have access." None of them have been inside the facility. This is
Mhm.
all rumors where they're protesting over something they don't. So let me tell you. So Delaney Hall is a large facility located in Newark, New Jersey. It's an industrial area, and ICE has been using it as a detention center. When they pick up people, prior to being deported, they get to go before a judge, even though there might be an existing deportation order. They get one more hearing. Um, anyway, so about a week ago, protesters started showing up outside Delaney Hall saying, "Close this place down. The food is rancid and it's unsanitary and it's overcrowded and they don't have access to medical care." None of them have any factual basis to back up any of those claims. Not a single person can document that any of those claims are true. Now, they've been at night, hundreds of people have been there at night, and they've been throwing fire, they're wearing gas masks, and they've been throwing rocks and bottles. And one guy was arrested for biting and kicking one of the ICE facility guards. Um, and like this is now here's first of all, the Delaney Hall facility was opened in 2011 as an ICE detention facility. Do you remember who was president in 2011?
George Bush.
No, guy name of Barack
Was that a
Obama.
Barack Obama? Okay, I thought he was not till 12, but
No, he came in 2000. He ran for president 2008 and became president
okay, 8 to
2012.
12. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, that facility was open for the vast majority of Obama's term, doing
Mhm.
exactly the same thing. Nobody thought to protest. Not one person thought to protest. And by the way, when they did some arrests the other day, guess what they found after they arrested six people for? And by the way, these people are throwing not just they're throwing like M80, the big explosive fireworks. They're throwing lit fireworks, shooting Roman candles at the police. Five of the six that they arrested were from out of state. And here's a commentary on uh, it's a really quick clip on the commentary of what's happening at Delaney Hall. Here we go. We play this from the play button.
So let's stop the pretense. This is not about ICE. New Jersey is under domestic terrorist attack. That's what's happening here. These are domestic terrorists who are launching an attack on the state of New Jersey and the city of Newark. This is the federal definition of domestic terrorism. Activities that involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state and appear intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population or influence a policy of the government by intimidation or coercion. That is the definition of what is happening in Newark right now. The state of New Jersey needs to defend itself. It needs to defend its citizens. It needs to defend its police. And if they won't do it, the president of the United States needs to do it. So let's.
And by the way, if you look at these protesters, in addition to their gas mask and eye goggles, many of them wearing like the Palestinian, headdress, the Arab headdresses. And if you look at what they're being supplied, my question is, these five out of six, and that's just five out of six who are arrested. Out of the other 150, how many of those do you think were from out of state?
I'm gonna guess a large part of them.
Yeah, because if 80% of the people you arrested were from out of state, you could extrapolate and say, well, then maybe 80%, well, but maybe they're the most violent. But my question is, who's paying these people travel, room, and board? If you're going to spend a week doing nothing but protesting outside this facility, you've got to eat, you got to sleep somewhere,
Mhm.
you had to travel there. Who's paying the bill? They're
Yeah.
not paying the bill. So, do you think this is just spontaneous local people? No, it
No.
is not
No.
spontaneous local people. Um, so that's what's happening at Delaney Hall. It's an organized, being funded by, I believe, I know I don't have the data, but I believe it's being funded by out-of-state money. They're trying to remember in Minnesota when the two people, the woman in the car and that male nurse Alex Peretti got killed,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
I believe that the people funding this were actually hoping that somebody else would get killed.
And
I believe.
that's horrible for them to even have that to do that in that hopes.
Well, now, I mean, now I can't prove that, but I actually hope that they would celebrate if one of these protesters got killed because they want to
Mhm.
make ICE out to be the bad guys.
Yeah.
And I think they are hoping and praying that one or more of these people get killed or seriously injured.
Mhm.
By the way, the what has happened is that finally the governor of New Jersey moved in and brought in the New Jersey State Police because the protesters were blocking the entrance and exit of this facility. You had ICE coming in and out, people coming in and out, and they were blocking the entrance. So of course ICE had to come out and physically push them away to let the cars and trucks in and out of the facility,
Mhm.
including, by the way, food trucks that were delivering produce and meat and vegetables for the kitchen facility. They were literally so anyway, and every time they did that, there was physical violence between the people blocking the entrance and ICE. So finally, the governor came in and said, okay, we're going to send the state police. And now the state police have set up a barricade and moved the protesters 500 feet away from the entrance to the facility, which is taking a lot of the steam out of their movement because now they can no longer, they no longer have the ability to do directly confront and have physical contact with ICE officers. So it's kind of losing a little bit of steam, but that's what's been going on in New Jersey. All right. Any questions on that before we move on?
Nope.
All right. So I know you don't have a lot of problem with TSA in your State College Airport. What's the longest you've ever waited for TSA screening?
Here at this airport,
Yeah,
5 minutes, 10
yeah.
minutes tops.
Now, have you ever, when you've been out of, when you've been to other parts of the country, like at major airports, like have you ever flown out of Newark or JFK or
Or
Indianapolis?
yeah, DIA,
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what's the longest you've ever waited in TSA screening at a major airport?
Probably an hour.
Right, which is, typically when I go to Newark, I plan on at least 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, while they're piloting, and that is fairly typical at big airports.
Yeah, that's
Denver,
not counting any of these furloughs that have been happening that have
yeah,
been
not
crazy.
counting the
Yeah.
when they had the government shutdown, TSA wasn't getting
Mhm.
paid, but that's just on a typical day when everybody's showing up for work. Well, they're piloting a program up in Logan Airport in Boston. What they've done is they've set up 9 miles away from Logan. And by the way, Logan Airport is separate. You have to go under the river through a tunnel to get to Logan Airport.
Mhm.
They've set up on the mainland side of the river. They've set up a remote TSA screening facility. And what happens? You go there. They've got the TSA inspectors. They got the X-ray machines. They got the full body scanners. And you go through TSA security at this remote facility that's 9 miles from Logan Airport. And once you do that, and it's a secure facility, once you go in, you can't leave, you can't come and go. And once you go, they then load you onto a secure bus, and the bus takes you directly to Logan Airport, but not to the main terminal entrance. The bus goes through the gates onto the tarmac, and they take you right to your concourse. Um, so you skip security at the airport. And the other big advantage is that you can park your car at the remote facility for $6 a day. Do you know what it costs to park your car at Logan Airport per day?
Oh, probably at least $20, and that's probably for the economy lot.
29. Well, if you want to park in the terminal, it's $29 a day for daily
Mhm.
parking.
Yeah.
So you're saving $23 a day, $23 a day in parking fees. So it sounds to me like it's a great idea.
Yeah.
If I could park, at a lot 5 miles away from Newark
Mhm.
Airport, clear security, jump on a bus that would take me right to my
Mhm.
gate, and I could save $20 a day on parking. I'll do that. I'll do that every day and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
And had you heard about that screening program?
I have not. The only thing I was aware of was like they have two different programs. The clear, what's it
Right.
called? The
Yeah, clear, and then the pre-check. I have a
yeah.
I have a pre-check. Do you have a pre-check membership?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
do I. Yep. Yeah, you have to get fingerprinted, but big, it's worth the money. All
I
right.
mean, some of us already get fingerprinted for our job, so
Right.
it's.
Not a big deal. All right. So let's hope that program is successful and they expand it. Again, I don't think you'd ever see it in state college because there's no real advantage, but in the really big city airports, I think it'd be a great
Mhm.
program. All right. So let's talk about Minnesota autism fraud. Um, so we've had all these other frauds. We've had the daycare frauds, we've had the hospice
Mhm.
frauds. Let's see, do I have a video clip of this one? No, I don't, but hang on. So what they did is they've charged two Somali women with a new scheme designed to defraud Medicaid program out of millions of dollars by submitting fake claims for autism treatment for children of Medicaid enrollees. So let me explain this. If you're on Medicaid, which by the way, in some states it's more than 30% of the people on Medicaid, your children are entitled to unlimited free medical care, and that includes treatment for autism. So what they would do, they would go around to people in like these low income neighborhoods and say, "Hey, if you agree to enroll your kid at least enroll your kid on paper for autism treatment, we'll give you, $100 a month, even if
Mhm.
your kid doesn't have autism." So, so they enrolled hundreds of kids for autism treatment who weren't autistic, didn't need the treatment, never actually got the treatment. They were just enrolled. They were just names on an enrollment form, and they were claiming they were providing autism treatment to these hundreds of kids who didn't have autism. Well, anyway, two women named Shamso Ahmed Hassan, uh, and I'm looking for the name of the other person. They submitted tens of millions in false claims for autism services that were either never provided and or medically unnecessary. Federal prosecutors said they paid kickbacks to the parents, they inflated diagnosis, and funneled the proceeds into real estate and overseas money transfers.
Mm.
21
And took
million,
resources away from people who actually needed it.
right, $21 million in fake autism treatment. Let me see if I can click on this link here. Hang on. This is like professional radio, right? Where I got to open a link. Right. Come on. Is this going to work for me or not? We're waiting for it to load. Okay. Well, anyway, so again, and surprisingly enough, once again, it's Somali nationals who are perpetrating the fraud. By the way, by some counts, the amount of fraud just in Minnesota alone is now north of $6 billion of taxpayer money have gone to these fraudulent services. All right.
Why does Minnesota seem to be like the root of all of the?
Well, it has this massive Somalia community up there. For some reason, tens of thousands of Somalians have settled in and around Minneapolis.
Mhm.
And apparently word got out, hey, here's how you scam the system.
Mhm.
And apparently it became a career to figure out how to scam the system. And of course, Minnesota has, even though these programs like Medicaid is 67% funded by the federal government and only 30% by the state government, it is the states that are responsible for administering and managing the programs. Well, one of the reasons, in addition to having a large Somali community, Minnesota has been incredibly lax in terms of enforcement. They let anybody enroll as a business without checking their qualifications, and then they never do any follow-up to see if they're actually providing. So the answer to a second part of the answer to your question is Minnesota has incredibly lax oversight and controls on how they spend taxpayer money. Is that a good answer?
Isn't Tim Walz the governor?
Governor Tim Walz. He ran as Kamala Harris's VP candidate.
Yeah, that speaks volumes right there.
It does. All right. So let's move on to Congresswoman Elise Stefanik questioning New York State Governor Kathy Hochul over her executive orders that absolutely prohibit any New York State law enforcement, state police, county sheriff, city, town sheriff from assisting ICE. And here we go. And she just tears her a new one. She destroys her.
You signed Executive Order 1. Is that correct?
I believe it is.
And you extended this executive order not once, not twice, but 3 times, most recently January 16th this year. Is that correct?
If that's what your facts show, I signed countless executive orders.
I would assume you'd know it's Executive Order 1. And this is a continuation of your predecessor's sanctuary state policies, correct? Is included in that.
I want to be sure we are defining sanctuary state
I'll
properly.
define it for you. It is the policy of the state that state officers or employees shall not disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement. It goes on to say, law enforcement officers may not use resources, equipment, or personnel for the purpose of detecting and apprehending any individual suspected or wanted for violating a civil immigration office. Law enforcement officers have no authority in the state of New York to take any policy action solely because the person is an undocumented alien. That's a quote in your executive orders that you extended. Now, do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to get back to the first part.
No, I'm asking a question. Do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to make sure you understand that this simply says that we will cooperate with ICE.
No, it does not say that. I read what it says, and let me talk to you about the results. Do you know who Sakir Akan is? You should, as the governor of New York State. Do you know?
Refresh my recollection.
He was an illegal migrant in New York. And do you know what crime he committed in addition to being here illegally?
No, I do not.
You do not. This was widely reported. He found a 15-year-old girl, threatened her with a metal pole, told her to get into the back seat of his car. He took her clothes off and he violated her in Albany, New York. Do you know who Sebastian Zapita Khalil is?
I'm sure you'll tell me there's many cases, whether they're
These are high-profile cases. New Yorkers know about them and you don't? So let's talk about Sebastian Zapita Khalil. Do you know who that is?
I don't have the specific details at my disposal, no.
Well, this is an illegal migrant in New York because of your sanctuary state policies. Do you know what crime he committed?
I'm not familiar at this moment.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you. He found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burned her alive. This is in Kathy Hochul's New York. And as I'm sure you are aware, and I'll remind you, that ICE issued an order to detain this violent criminal, but that was rejected by New York officials due to sanctuary state laws. Now, do you know who Raymond Rojas Basilio is?
I just want to say this. These crimes are horrific. I condemn them.
Because of
And
your
our
sanctuary state
In
policies.
all of these cases, we would work with ICE to remove
You did
them.
not in this case. They
need our
are
assistance.
streets because of your policies and your executive order that you signed 3 times.
Now, it goes on for another 4 minutes, but isn't she just destroying Governor Hochul?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great, I urge people to go to the website and give producer Susan a day or two and watch the full clip. Or if you want to email me, joe@jerzee.joe.com, I will send you this clip. I think everybody should watch it. I think
I'll
you
add
should
it to the website.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'll add it to the website. Yeah.
And I think you should post it to your Facebook page because, again, these people would not have been raped or murdered had they simply honored ICE detaining requests. Again, she said ICE had a detaining request. You ignored it. He was set free. And then he sets a woman on fire and she burns her to death on a subway. I mean, that's the type of nonsense going on. How much time we got left?
Oh, we got about 7-8 minutes.
Okay. City of Denver death spiral. Did we talk about Denver last week at all?
No, not at all.
Okay. Now, the typical vacancy rate in a down, and I know we've talked about San Francisco following the same path, and we've also talked about how Baltimore is dying on the vine.
Yeah.
But typical downtown office building vacancy rate is about 6-7%. Do you know what the office vacancy rate in Denver is today?
I think it's pretty high. I mean, last time I was there, I feel like a lot of the corporates were moving out to the outer edges of Denver, which are not in the city proper.
Well, it's 39%, almost 40%. 40%. Let me put that in perspective. That 40% vacancy rate is 12 million square feet of office space. And at 250 square feet per person, do you know how many? I won't ask you to do the math, but you want to guess how many employees or people would be occupying that 12 million square feet of vacant office space?
A lot, several thousand.
50,000, a football stadium full of people.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think happens to the shops and restaurants in a downtown area where their customer base shrinks by more than 50,000 potential daily customers?
Yeah, I mean, all those 50,000 people that would have gone out to lunch or got their morning coffee.
Yeah, or even gone out and do some lunch, shopping, and they had to pick up, they'd pick up something at a shop or something.
Yeah.
So there's 50 now. City of Denver also has a city income tax. But here's the cascade. Here's the death spiral.
Well, and the city of Denver also has an additional sales tax beyond that of the state of Colorado.
That's right. It's actually the city and county of Denver. Denver is actually its own county. So the city and county of Denver. So those people who are not buying lunch and shopping on their lunch hour, they're losing. And by the way, almost half of those little restaurants and shops have closed up. They're vacant. They're empty storefronts. So they're losing the income tax for those 50,000 employees who don't work there. They're losing the sales tax from all those shops that are closed. And even the ones that are still open are not selling what they used to sell. And guess what? Property values. Property taxes are a huge portion of the city's revenue. Well, property taxes are based upon the market value of the building, not what it costs to build a building. Well, there are office buildings in Denver now that are selling for a quarter of what they sold for 5 years ago. So in other words, a building that sold for $40 million, actually it was 7 or 8 years ago, are reselling today for $10 million. That means the property tax revenue that you're going to get from the city's going to get from that building is going to shrink by 75%. So here's a question. As you lose the income tax revenue from 50,000 people who don't work there anymore, you're losing the sales tax revenue from the reduced shopping, and you're losing massive amounts of property taxes because the buildings are now reselling for a quarter of their prior value.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen to the tax revenues for the city of Denver.
They're losing money hand over fist.
Well, they're going to plummet. And my question is, so you've got a dying downtown area, and your city tax revenues are plummeting. What do you think? How do you think the city's going to try to cope with that massive decline in tax revenues?
Well, if they were smart, they would lower the taxes,
Right.
but
no,
they're
that's
probably
like
just going to increase them.
yeah. Oh, and it has one of the worst homeless people population in the city. People are crapping and sleeping on the street and crapping on the sidewalk. So um, anyway, so it's just you're in a death spiral, and it's coming. Hey, I want to move around real quick. How AI data centers can drive up your electric bill.
Yeah.
Unless your state is producing 100% of its electrical power, of all the electrical power needs from in-state generating sources, with capacity to spare, here's why a new AI data center can drive up your cost of electricity. And here's an example, over the past 10 years, New Jersey went from being a net power exporter to being a net power importer because we were closing down power plants and not letting new ones be built. Generally, power purchased from out-of-state producers is more expensive than power produced by in-state sources, which include hydro, wind, solar, nuclear, and fossil fuel. And currently, the blended cost of electricity in New Jersey, and by blended I mean the cost of your in-state power plus the cost of your purchase power, is 24 cents a kilowatt hour, which is 23% higher than the national average of 19 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, if you assume that the purchase power component of that blended rate is higher than the cost of the domestic power, that means that any new electrical demand that you add to the grid will have to be satisfied with additional power purchased from those out-of-state producers. And if that assumption is true, then why should any new data center be given the benefit of the existing blended rate when 100% of the new demand they will add to the grid will have to be satisfied by power purchased from out-of-state producers at a cost higher than that blended rate? Does that make any sense?
This is why I never understood about these data centers because they're the ones who are increasing the demand for the electricity. Therefore, they should be the ones paying for it.
Well, and if you could satisfy with in-state generating capacity, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have to satisfy it by buying more power from your out-of-state competitors, why shouldn't they pay that price instead of the blended price?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so by allowing any new data center to purchase power at the blended rate instead of the incremental cost, that approach will continue to drive up the cost, because as they do that, then next year they're going to go to the Jersey Central Power and Light's going to go to the PUC and say, hey, our total cost has gone up, and PUC is going to let them increase the blended rate, and the blended rate's going to go up not because only because you're buying, the ratio of purchase power to domestic power is going to change, and that's why data centers can drive up your cost. Hey, we're running short on time, right?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Taxpayer relief shot. 3 thugs walk into a jewelry store in California and try to rob it. Here we go.
Breaking news tonight. Police are on the scene of a deadly shooting at a jewelry store in Antioch. Crown 4's Jeff Bush is there live tonight as well. He has the latest. Jeff, what's going on?
Well, Pam, we're right outside the Hardy Nicks jewelry store on Delta Fair Boulevard. And according to police, about 4:30 this afternoon, there was an attempted robbery at this store. Now, I spoke with a shop owner who works nearby. He says that he heard that 2 to 3 robbers went into the jewelry store and tried to hold the place up. But those robbers were met by gunfire, apparently from the owner of that store. Now, let's take some video, and you can see that at least one person is dead. We're hearing from that shop owner that I spoke with that one of those robbers is the deceased. We're also hearing that one of the robbers was also injured and taken to the hospital along with a female employee of the store. Now, I spoke with a woman who works nearby, and let's let her take the story up from there.
The guy was shot because I was coming here from work, and then I just.
Well, she's an airhead, so we'll cut it shy, but we're running out of. She's an airhead, but anyway. So yeah, taxpayer relief shot. 1 dead, 1 in critical condition in the hospital. So all right. Anything you want to add before we sign off?
No, I think that there's a very important day coming up this weekend, Jerzee Joe.
I'm at a loss. I had nothing on my calendar. What do you know about?
Sunday is not a special day.
Sunday. Yeah, it's good. Going by me. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, my birthday. Okay, my birthday. All right. Anybody wants to send me birthday wishes, just send it to joe@jerzee joe.com. Just remember to spell Jersey, Jersee, as in Robert, Z as in zebra, Jerzee, JerzeeJoe.com if you want to wish me happy birthday. If you want to see some of the story links you heard me talk about today, give producer Susan a day or two. You'll be able to find them on the Jerzee Joe website at JerzeeJoe.com. Just remember to spell Jersey with an R, a Z, and two E's. And if you'd like me to send you one of the story links, or you want to suggest a show topic, or you have any questions, or you want to get on our distribution list so you don't have to go search for the podcast, just send me an email to joe@jerzeejoe.com, and I'll either send you the story link, I'll add you to the subscription list, or I'll consider putting your suggested show topic on for next week.
Yep.
And with that, producer Susan, I'll sign off unless you got anything you want to add.
Yep, I'm going to go out and enjoy this last day of nice weather.
All right, you take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.